Hi guys, it's Lone Gamer UK here, back for some more games and streams. Today something new. This one's called Production Line. Games and streams. Today something new. Sorry, didn't mute my channel when it refreshed. Yeah, so Production Line. This is a new game series that I'm going to stream. I've had a couple attempts at it to practice and gone broke several times. This game is available on Steam and it's an early access game, so I'm running the version 1.31, which recently got that update on the 6th of September, I think it was. And there's a guy called Cliff Harris who's the developer. He's also the guy that did Democracy 3 and a few other games. So he does a weekly YouTube video talking about the changes, the patches, ideas for the game. So if you're interested in the game and you want to see the development of the game and ideas, then check out Cliff Harris's website. I'm going to be putting a link to his website on YouTube in the YouTube video version, in the information. There's also a link to where it is on Steam. So yeah, so let's see if I can avoid going bankrupt. You do really need to watch the money here. So we're going to start a new game. And you've got various options of choosing a small factory, medium factory, tight budget, giant factory, and a mega factory. And I think that it doesn't say, so there's quite a few things on this game which lacking the tutorial and things. I have a feeling that the rental amounts of the factory change dramatically depending which one you go. We're going to go with the mega factory because that's what I've been practicing on, but it doesn't say here on the menu, for example, if they are different rental amounts and stuff. So there's games in development, there's lots of ideas and thoughts to improve the game. It's not bad in its current state. I've been quite enjoying practicing and playing the bits that I have. So we're going to start with a mega factory. And you can do level editors. Now I'm not going to change what we're going to go with. I'm just going to go with the mega factory that's by default, but you can edit it and change it. This is our factory. Now for the vast majority of the early part of the game, we'll just be using the main factory floor that we've got here. So what I need to do, because it's a new stream, is just move my bear with me, I just need to move my support gold tickets and stuff because they're going to get in the way of stuff in the game. So give me 1 second while I do this. Donation goal. Right, I need to move that. Move it over there. I'll move the jar. Whoop. Put it in the middle there. So hopefully you can see the menu screen there. So just a quick run through of the basics. So you control the speed of the game up here, so I'm just going to pause it. This box here in red is our power and energy. Now we're not producing any energy, so it shows 0, and the figure to the right is the amount it costs us to run the lights, the factory, and the equipment that we'll start putting down in the factory. Now we can build power plants and stuff so that we can produce our own power. So at the start, it doesn't really matter whether you're producing power or not because you buy your energy, but you'll see in the costs that I mean, this game's all about efficiency basically, and trying to get efficiency through your production line and how you build things, etc. So Later on we'll be building some power plants so that we don't have to pay and ship in and pay as much for our energy. Over on the right hand side is our money. We start with 3 million, which soon disappears as we start paying for. So income, we've got no income, we're not selling any cars. Expenses, so you get 3 expense columns, the per hour, 24 hours and all time. And you'll see it broken down there by rent, wages, power, you name it, all of those. So we're looking at that a couple of times throughout this video. Imports, so pretty much all the parts that we need we have to ship in. Some key parts like engines and things you can build yourself, but we need to research that, and that's later on in the game. Prices of the components can vary. So if you were going to let's say build a component, you might say, well, I'll do the stop-start powertrain because that's very expensive. I don't mind paying money for the steel sheets. Features, this is just a thing. So we have AI competitors in the game that we don't really see very much, but they build cars and they invent things like anti-lock brakes, and you'll see that pretty much at the moment your basic car is just common, but as the competitors, let's say, put anti-lock brakes on, let's say a budget car, if that becomes common, then we need to be doing the same because it will affect sales. So it's just a sort of a chart. So everything starts off pretty much very rare. We just quality control in the basic car as being common. And then there's a loan tab where we can go get loans if we're running out of money. Now we might have to do that. I have done in some of our practice runs, but just like any kind of tycoon building game, it is so easy to just because you can't move things. So when you put things down, you know, you get a bit of money back when you sell it, but only like half as much. So planning and not wasting money is obviously a key part of the efficiency. So that's the financial button and all the tabs there. So then what we've got is we've got our game options, our save game options, our research tree, our marketing department, build slots tree, which we use, the car sales. So this will be our stock room, so anything we're not selling will build up in our showroom. And this is the market, so we've only got a budget car to start with, and we only be doing that in this video. It'll be a couple of videos before we do the compact car. And it tells you how many sales per hour you're doing, how many you're producing per hour, and how many customers there are. So that would be quite key. But even if we're not meeting our customer demand, what we want to be doing is producing a certain amount per hour to cover our costs. So that's the showroom and market. This is the design car phase. It's fairly basic at the moment. There are things we can research to improve this later. So we're going to start off with a car, and we're going to call it I think something like the Gamer Sedan B for budget. Okay, and then you can set the price. Now there's no thing. I'm going to set a premium of 45%, selling the car at 23,000 to start with, because we'll have more customers than we're making and selling cars. So try and maximize the profit, but you can play around and vary that as much as you want. We get like a little chart here once we start spending money and building things, looking at our efficiency, and then there's some achievements that you can gain when you do certain things in the game. So that's the basic controls of the game. Now, as I say, I've had a few practice runs of this game and gone broke nearly every time, but each time, you know, I've learned a couple of things. There's a fair bit more depth and complexity to, I guess, any of these tycoon games than you originally thought. I'll give you an example. Okay, so basically this is our main factory floor. Now, these big you can't see my mouse on the stream, but in the bottom right hand corner, let me zoom in, you've got a double sort of kind of door exit entry. Those are where you export your cars to the showroom and sell, and the ones that look like windows are where you have importers and you import your manufacturing goods. Now, for example, a resource importer that brings them into your factory is £66,000. But I started slamming them down because, I mean, if you're getting them all from just say down here, and you've got things all the way at the top of your factory, it's going to take a while. So ideally, later on in the game, we want to have, you know, importers importing our items closer to where the factory line parts are. But they're 66 grand each, so I think, like in one of the first games I did, I put, you know, I'll have one on this side of the building, I'll have one on either side, and I'll have one coming from the top. You know, and you burnt through 200 grand before you realised it. So placing a conveyor is only 1800, but the importers are 6600. So yeah, everything about this game is efficiency. There are zones that we can expand into once we build our factory, because you can build. So if we go back to here, so for I don't know how many videos, but for quite a few videos, we're just really going to be doing this budget car and trying to make money and profit, and maybe then look at a compact car. But you can go on to look at 4x4s, sports cars, etc. But it will tell you the market share. So for example, doing a compact car has got 12.25% market share. Whereas if I do a sports car, that's only got a 2% market share. So when you're starting off, if you're building anything other than a budget car, you want to go for things that have got the big market share. So a compact car, budget, or a compact mid-range have more market share, etc. So we're going to be building a red car. The colours make no difference to the price or how they sell or anything. So we're calling this the Gamer Sedan B for budget. And we're going to sell it at 23,431. And it doesn't even have a radio. You know, this is what's great about this stuff. People will buy my cars that don't have radios, don't have anti-lock brakes, nothing. They look quite modern cars, but I think really we're building a car from the 1960s or something. So, hi Lee, hi Ian. Yeah, Lee, the Software Inc. Hasn't gone anywhere. I'll probably be streaming that later this afternoon. So I'm going to do this video, and then I might do a Cold Water solo mission. And then either later this afternoon or this evening, I will be doing some more Software Inc. So the 3 games I'm going to have on the go now are going to be this one, Software Inc. and Cold Water's solo missions. So the idea is to probably not have more than 3 different types of games going at the same time as a rough guide. Otherwise it can get a bit too many different games. And I need a few for variety, both for the viewing audience and for me playing. So that's the layout of the icons. So I've run through now a couple things. So the research tree is key, you know, like any of these sort of tycoon games. Basically, now there's not much of a tutorial in this game. There's a few red boxes that pop up and say this is, you know, it doesn't really tell you how to play the game. And but then I quite like that with some of these early access games, trying to work out. And I'm going to go with a certain method in these videos and play through, but I'd just like to put a caveat in now. I'm in no way saying this is the only way to play the game or it's the best way to play the game. I've had, as I say, a couple practice runs, gone broke a couple times, fumbled my way through it a little bit, and I've come up with a slightly better plan for the video stream. But I'm not saying that my plans for research and building are the best, but if you do play this game or get it yourself, it's a lot of fun if you like sort of management type games. So like most games, you can research stuff and you can queue up the research. So the first thing I'm going to research is improved efficiency. Now most of these boxes to the right here are some of the things that we need to research the most. So you can see things like faster conveyor belts, more robots, power efficiency, faster conveyors. These are all quite useful early on in the game. So we'll be putting in improved efficiency first. Then we're going to be doing where is it? Power reduction. I'm going to add that to the queue. So you'll see there's a queue up here. And let me take that out before I start that. So to be able to do any research, you need to put down research office, and they have to go in the green boxes. Now I started off with 2, 3 or 4 one game, and it takes forever to research stuff. Another game I whacked in like, I don't know, 12 or 15 and went bankrupt. So these don't tell you what they cost. They do have staff to run them, so you have a cost because of the employees and the staffing. But each one basically generates 0.2 of a research point. So we need, and they're 50,000 each. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build 6. And again, I'm not saying it's the okay. So I've built 6 research labs. They're in their white coats, we're slevering away. And what that will do is that gives us 0.6 points per minute researching. So we're already starting on improved efficiency. We're going to queue up power reduction, add that to the queue. And then when improved efficiency is done, I'll be doing some of these ones that are red highlighted, and the robots. Now the robots are pretty good, but in some of my playthroughs you don't always need to have too many robots at the start, because they just build things really quickly, and then when your cars are drying in paint shops and stuff, they just sit there doing nothing anyway. So I don't think you need the more robots right at the beginning of the game. So we're going to leave those a little while, but we'll do them reasonably early on. There are technologies that you can research as well. So these are the things that we put in the cars, like power steering, car alarms, central locking, and we'll unlock some of those in a short while. So we're running the game at slow speed just at the moment while I do my build, or even I might just pause it here. So now what we need to do is build our factory line. We've designed the car that we're going to build. It's the Gamer Sedan B. And we've set the price. Now what we need to do, and these are kind of in order, is we need to have a production line with the chassis assemble, fit body, paint, fit engine, fit accessories, fit electronics, quality check, and then export the car. So they go in that order. I've seen some people in videos do it from reverse back. I'm not. I'm going to do it from chassis assemble. But for example, if you see chassis assemble, you'll see that it's 67,200 for the cost. And it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subparts to it. So because we haven't researched them, we have to build a chassis assemble which builds all of those things at one station. Now the cost isn't really different whether you break it down into substations, but it's much more efficient to build the chassis in its subcomponents later in the game. So what we'll be doing is we'll be placing down a chassis assemble, but when we can later, we'll be destroying it, selling it, and making our chassis using these sub parts. So you need, ideally, you need to leave space in your manufacturing chain to knock out the chassis assemble, which doesn't take up much space, and fit these other parts in. Otherwise, you will have to destroy a lot of your factory line, throwing a lot of money away that you spent putting it down in the first place, and it's just very inefficient. So if you look at chassis assemble, you see it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts to it. So I need to leave at least 5 slots to upgrade this to at some later stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the chassis assemble, I'm going to have the resources coming in this slot here, and I'm going to put the chassis assemble here, and I'm going to count 5 slots in front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to give myself a buffer because of the track, so about 7 spaces ahead. I'm then going to put my fit body. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buffer. So I'm going to put that there. Okay. Now the fit body, when we can upgrade it, has a lot of sub parts, and again we want to upgrade all of these at some point. So this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 sub-component parts that make the fit body. Now when we start the game, just that's going to do all of those 13 parts. So we need to put our paint shop down, but we need to put it at least 13 away. I'm going to count 13 actually from this square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I won't mess that up. Let's move the camera. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm going to give myself a grace of a couple squares because also there's a feature where we can build parts, which we'll need to have near. So you need the gap for these expanded lines, plus then some more for things like supply stock piles and other things. So that's the fit body. After the fit body is the paint, and that is in 4 parts. Maximum expansion. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to give another 1 or 2. Put that down. That's the paint shop. And then fit engine. Now the engine's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 expansion. So I'm going to go from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for a little bit of extra room. What was that, the last thing I did? Fit engine. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back round on myself to fit accessories, I think. Actually, no, fit accessory 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'll probably. What I'll do is I'll go 1, 2. I'm going to have it over here. That'll be fine. And then electronics, now that doesn't get expanded. And put that there. Now quality check. Most of my practices I've only used one quality check, but they can slow things up later, so I might want to have it where I can end up with 2 qualities. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to be exporting the cars to this here, to the showroom. And then my quality checks, I'm going to put because then if I put one there, what I can do, not now, but if I need to, I can put another one to its left and they'll go out the same export. So then I just need to connect all these up with a conveyor. Let's go back to the start. Okay, so I need to connect these up with the conveyor belt system where the cars will move along. Now this isn't that cheap and it does cost more money because I've got it fairly spaced out, but hopefully when we expand, as you'll see, it's worth putting that those spaces in now rather than do it later. Okay. Okay, so that's all connected up. There's little chevrons on here, and sometimes you can get them facing the wrong way and have a problem with your conveyor belt system, so it's something you need to check. So that's the basic production line, as long as I've not forgotten anything there. Then what we need to do is... Oh, I didn't actually pause the game, did I? Should we pause it? Recent time, but okay, it was on slow time anyway. So now we need to spend money for a resource importer. So these are very expensive, 66,000. So at the moment, because of costs, I'm going to do this quite cost effective as much as I can. So it won't be particularly efficient. I'm going to get all my resources coming from one part of the factory. Now I'm going to get them coming from this middle one to feed this whole line. I could put it at the end, but then they've got to travel all the way up. If I start them in the middle, it can go both ways. So I need to line those up with the importer windows. Okay, so that's that done, and that costs 66,000. Then I need to put the conveyors in and connect these up. Now these need to be connected to these red boxes. So the first thing I'm going to do is run from here to here, and then I'm going to connect these up. That's that one, and then these ones need connecting up. And they bridge over, it's quite easy, just go connect them to those squares. These can get a bit messy where you put them. Okay, I think I've connected everything. I've done it right. So then what? Then you'll see, right, so this is the resources now coming in from the importer. Stuff can go both ways. You don't have to worry about direction of travel on these. So they start loading up. Here comes the paint for the paint shop. And the various parts. So this will just take, we've got seats and radiators, exhausts, etc. Yeah, maybe I can rename the cars. I mean, I might just name some of the cars after British, like, you know, Morris Minor or something like that. We'll see. We'll see what you guys think. So what happens now is that once they've got resources, they will start building. So if we just follow this along the line, because we need to make sure that nothing gets held up because we haven't got our we speed up time and stuff. We need to make sure that conveyors are all working and everything's getting parts. So these guys here are building the chassis. So there goes the chassis. Let's follow it. And it goes then to the fit body. Lovely robotic sounds. Now, as I said earlier, I mean, we can each of these stations you can have a lot more robots so that you can speed things up, but if you've got delays later down the line, it's kind of no point. And fairly early on, certainly before we probably build a second type of body car, we need to upgrade these lines to their so as I say, each of these stations are making multiple parts. They're making like the 8 or 13 parts of fitting a body or an engine, but what we want to do is research and break these down. Now let me just pause that a second. Let's just check the research, what we're doing. So what are we researching at the moment? So we're researching power production because we're going to start putting some power plants in. We don't have to pay. I'm just going to queue a few of these up. So we're going to, I've done improved efficiency, we're doing power production, and then what I'm going to do is have faster resource imports, add that to the queue. Faster overhead conveyors, add that to the queue. And then this one here, more robots, because actually not more robots. I'm going to do paint specialization and then more robots after that, because we need these. The paint shop is one of the slow bottlenecks, and fitting the body from the practice goes I've had. And then these are the stations, so we've got an accessory thing that builds all these. Once we research these, we can then build individually, like the lights, the seats, the windscreens, etc. Okay, so we queued up a few things there on our research. Let's get that going again. Oh, by the way, Ian, Lee, I haven't streamed this game before. It doesn't have fantastic sort of music. It's got some basic music in the background. I don't particularly want the players to hear it too loudly. I've turned it down quite a lot on the game. And obviously there's in-game noises when I zoom in. That's quite loud when I zoom in, and quieter when I zoom out. But then there's background music. Do let me know if if you can hear music at all, or if it's too loud or too quiet. I don't particularly want it to be. So I've got the music volume turned right down here, so I can adjust this to make it slightly better for the viewers. So let me know. So are we still? Oh no, our first car. Oh, why did I build 2 paint shops? Crap. I've already messed up. What? 2 paint shops? What? I do want to, but not like that. Oh, they're expensive as well. Messed up. 50 grand. I need them next to each other because in some of the practice games I've had 2 or 3 expanded paint shops next to each other because they do take so long. Paint and then fit engine. Yeah, that's why. Oh shit, I've just deleted my car. Okay. New mistake. First 50 grand wasted. Never mind. I was thinking my fit engine was a bit high up there. That's fine. We can change that later. So there are things you can upgrade. So in the paint shop here, we can have predictive stock control. I'm going to leave that for a while because when I researched that and did it in one of my practice goes, I went bankrupt because it like bought all the stuff ahead of time and then I couldn't build things fast enough. So the amount of money that was being spent was more than I could make or sell, and it bankrupted me. So you do need to be careful with predictive stock control. But when we build the sub parts of the paint shop, when we research them, like undercoat, dry undercoat, you can do super quick drying, these things here. So even turbo drying, faster drying, turbo drying, and max power drying. So these things are worth investing in research because the time it takes to dry the cars, as well as maybe have more than one paint shop. Right, okay, so I don't know, did we actually sell our first car? No. So we set the price at 23,437. So this is our first car. It's not actually our first car because we've actually binned our first car in the paint shop when we deleted it. Yeah, you can't change the layout. You can't move things. So, which I kind of quite like because you need to plan things, and if you don't, you can delete things and you do get some money back. So I can't remember when I deleted that paint shop, I would have got a little bit money back. It's 50,000 to build. I probably got 15 or 20,000 when I deleted it. But yeah, you can't move things. You just have to. But you know you can change your layout and stuff. That's why I've left all these gaps, because we're going to fill them up with stuff fairly soon. So I'm still going to just watch this car through to being made. So this here is the fit engine. And then it goes on to fit accessories, which at the moment includes things like the lights. Lights and seats are accessories. But if we had radios and things like that, they'll be built in that station. Then it's going to come to fit electronics, which we don't really have any at the moment. Then it goes to quality check, and then it will go to exports. Then we'll see our first car come off the line. There it is. So it's in the showroom, and then it will disappear hopefully shortly as we sell it. We'll just wait for that to be sold. Right, it's been sold. Just pause the game a sec. So the money went up 23,000. So nothing in the showroom. Okay, oh, that probably hasn't clicked on yet. Need to probably run the game. So you see our green line, which is our income, has started to go up. Obviously, as we spend money on the line and the infrastructure, will have very high setup costs. But this is what we want to look at. We want to start getting an income per hour that's greater than our expenses, and I haven't paid enough attention to it in the past practice goes. Probably excluding or bearing in not including things like building the line, but I've just wasted 50 grand with the paint shop. So there's our first car sold, 23,000, and that's our expenses, and that's our profit and loss. Now I went through these at the beginning. We've got, so this is our income, this is our expenses, and then per hour, 24 hours all time, imports, prices, etc. So if we go to expenses, you'll see that now you need to bear in mind that one of the biggest costs will be this capital investment in things that we're doing, but your ongoing costs will be things like your wages, the sales and marketing, the power purchase, and your raw materials. So if we look at power purchase, so we're spending $9,500 per hour on energy because we're not making any, and in 24 hours we've spent 68,000. I think this works because we haven't done our first 24 hours. It's going to be about 150-60,000 per 24 hours. So in a minute, once we've researched it, I think we might have already just researched it, not just yet. When we've researched this, we can actually then build some power plants. Now these power plants are, where are they? Here. They're 30,800, so they're quite expensive. But if you're spending 9,000 per hour, you know, you're spending, you know, 230,000-40,000 per day. So we'll build some power plants so that we're not having to spend so much on energy. Again, there'll be a drop in our profits because of a capital expenditure, but then we'll see that the expenses drop per hour. Now there's other things we can do where we can build some of our components and reduce the component purchase. You see here component purchase in red. That's very high because all the bits coming into the factory we're buying basically. The stats and figures will get thrown out quite regularly whenever we go on a splurge with building stuff, but when it's our running costs and our sales, the hourly figure is the thing that we want to focus on. Now these are our imports. So if, for example, you wanted to make a component, like say you might say, well, I'll do the powertrain because that's pretty expensive. I'm spending a lot of money buying engines. So I don't mind making the I don't mind importing the radiators, but I'll make the powertrains. So not all of these things you can make, but most of them you can make. And again, you might look at the prices and make some of the things that are the most expensive things rather than wing mirrors, let's say. So we need to keep an eye on this. Okay, so what I want to do now is just, the line's working, things are going through. I'm just going to speed that up until we've done the power. Now again, we'll be waiting for things to get to the station from the conveyor belts and bottlenecks and things like that. So all of those efficiencies we need to improve. So we've done the power. Just going to put it on slow for a sec for that. Let's just double check. So we need to sell at least 2 cars an hour, 2 or 3 cars an hour to sort of meet our general expenses at the moment. But we're going to increase our expenses and our capital expenditure because we're going to build power plants. Now each of these power plants make 1,800 power supply and we're using 13,000. So I'm going to build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that's not quite enough, but I'm going to leave it as that because you can't sell energy if you make hours. So I've just spent 30, 60, 90, just spent, you know, 180,000 on engine. We won't see it just yet. That's the spike of our expenditure, but this power purchase here should dramatically come down over the next sort of 24 hours, and that will help us try and make sure our income is higher than our expenses. Now our expenses 192 because that's including what we've just spent on those engines. So we'll whack this on a bit and then that figure will change into the next hour. But we can start seeing what the cost is without that expenditure. Right, so there we go. Starting to, I think we've broached. We built those things slightly before and after the hour. Now let's have a look. We've got 3 cars in the showroom. They're not selling. I might have them set too high. Producing 1 per hour. There's 10 customers per hour. Oh, I am selling them. So I can adjust the price down a bit if I've got a 45% markup, but at the moment I kind of need to, you know, we haven't got a lot of cars sitting there not selling, 2 or 3. So, and if we're selling what we're making per hour, then that's fine. If we're producing, say, 10 an hour and we're only selling 2, then obviously our price is too high, or the car's not got the right items in it. So we'll whack on the speed there just for a little bit and go back to normal. So let's just have a little look. So now you'll see our green line is gone into profit. So our income was 23,000. Expenses 31 actually. We need to just let that run on a little bit quicker. Okay, let's have a look. Am I actually right? According to the graph, but I'm still losing too much on expenses. Let's have a look. There's a lot of things I can't control at the beginning of the game, so we haven't made any expenses in that last hour. Component purchase, raw materials, they're going to have to stay like that. The rent's quite high because we've gone for a big factory. Wages, we're only really doing the production and the science. And let's have a look. The power purchase started to come down. That was 9,500 per hour, so that's going to help us quite a lot. We don't really want loans if we can help it. We're not spending anything else. Okay, so we just probably need to make cars a bit quicker. Let's go back now. I have researched, let's just double check. So faster overhead conveyors is about to be done. We've got I think my wife's just decided to hoover in the next room, so apologies for hoovering noises in the background. Oh dear, the life of a streamer. I don't know about you, but I've got my headsets on and it's loud for me. Let me pause my mic and we'll just watch the game for a bit. Okay, I'm back for a bit, I think. Hoovering stopped, but I might have to... I'll get a very funny look if I ask her to stop hoovering. Right, so what we've done, we've just added a few things to the training queue. So I haven't sped up time much here. So our income's 93, our expense is 32, so we're in profit. And that's partly because of our sales and the fact that we've reduced this power purchase down. So let's just check the sales. So yeah, at the moment we're building 2 cars per hour, we're selling them, but we could be doing a lot more. So I'm researching right now. What are we researching right now? Paint specialization. Right, one of the first things I want to do to speed up is this paint thing, and not just I'm not going to do this predictive thing. What we're actually going to do is destroy this and build the 4 parts: paint undercoat, dry undercoat, paint finish and dry finish, and polished paintwork, and then build those parts. And so I just need to check. I'm on course 2. That's going to unlock that. Faster drying I've got queued up. Yeah, I mean most parts like engine you need to do these parts, but for the paint shop you don't have to do any of this stuff. It's just these paint specialization, high pressure nozzles, polished paintwork, and faster drying. So when those are researched, we can strip this out and put in a... It's not much of a bottleneck. You see we're not making... The 2 bottlenecks that I've seen most of the time is the fit body and the paint shop. Now the paint shop is slightly longer. It's telling us at the moment it's taking 34 minutes to do the paint shop. That's not real time, it's the game time. And we can improve that time by doing sub-components. There's nothing really you can improve on that. This one we could do the robots to improve its speed, which we'll probably do. I do want to upgrade after the paint shop the fit body to its sub-component parts, which are quite a lot. It's 13 or so, but we need to research all those, so we'll do the paint shop first, and then we'll add some robots. Where's my faster robots? Okay, so that more robots is going to be after this paint specialization. Okay, so that's fine. Let's just speed this up a bit so we can get some sales in. But also, if you ever speed this game up, do sort of check, even if you're not making very many cars to mark, just make sure you're making profit or not losing too much, because you can have a situation where, I don't know, say you're losing 150 grand per hour, you speed it up and you lose $500,000 in no time at all. So we've done paint specialization, so that unlocks the 4 subcomponents that we need to build the proper paint shop. So that's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do, right? So what we need to do is let these cars go through. Now if there's one coming up the line, I'll probably need to just take out that. Again, it's early access. I would like things like you can maybe turn the electrics on and off the track, so you don't need to delete it, but at the moment you have to do things like that if you want to start. So we'll let these go off the line, and then we're going to take out. Now what we need to do, because I probably will build a second paint shop of 4 because it really does take too much time, whereas other parts don't. So we might have 2 or 3 paint shops in a row. I'll do one, and then we might have space for a second alongside it. We'll see how we go. So we're just waiting for this car to move on. I missed it. I was looking at, yeah, so that's gone now. Right, so what we want to do, let's just one sec, a sec. Okay, so we have to take this out. Like that. Okay, so we go to, let's here's the paint shop. So that's, if I want to build the paint shop, that's that. But we're now going to build the paint shop in the sub part. So it's the paint undercoat. Now, 1, 2, 3. What I want to do is I want to potentially have a second one. So I need space to be able to run the track left and right. So I'll do that. So that's the paint undercoat. Then the dry undercoat. These are dryers. I'll go there. Then the paint finish. And the dry finish. Now I'll need to add polished paintwork, but I can't do that yet because I haven't researched it. Polished paintwork. Let's just maybe queue that up. Okay, we can do that later, and we can stick it in there and just adjust the track. So what I want to do with this track is get that working again. Is 1, 2, 3. Could have one there, so it would be 3 in. So I might have paint shops left and right. We won't build them just yet. Okay, let's just check that's working. Right, now what we need to do is just double check, because we need to connect them up. Okay, so they're all connected where they went, but they've just got to wait for the new resources to come up. So now that you've got the 4 subparts, which were done by one, each one now we can upgrade. So you've got these high pressure nozzles, so that gives a 10% speed boost and predictive stock control. And then the dryers can have faster drying and turbo drying, each giving 10% boosts. Not massive, but it does make a difference. So we haven't researched them yet. They are queued up, faster drying, high pressure nozzles. So we'll upgrade those on that line when we do that. Now we've spent money, so capital expenditure will have gone up. But let me just check. I think the line's all working. Now the overall time of this right now probably won't have changed. Now all robots, so we can upgrade all slots, and it's tempting to click that, but they cost, I think, 10,000 per robot upgrade, and sometimes you just don't need them, but not at the stage of the game. So for example, I don't need them here, extra robots. So if I click that, let's look at this. See, I can now upgrade extra robots, which gives me a 10% speed boost, but the body shells are all queuing up. There's no point me putting extra robots here just yet. Do it later. But here, yeah, that will help because we've got a bottleneck here. It's taking them too long. So Although when we destroy this, I mean, these upgrades are wasted and we'll have to do them again, but we're not going to upgrade this for just a little while yet. So click that, click the upgrades, click extra robots, buy. And that, there you go, now I've got 2 either side of the car, so 4 in total. And that just speeds that up a little bit. And we've got the faster conveyor belts researched and the faster main car belts and the resource importers. Let's double check. So yeah, so we did faster, so we're getting the stuff into the factory quicker, it's coming out faster, and then we're delivering it faster because of the overhead conveyors. Actually the car one's not done, but we're on that at the moment, so that will speed up. Again, these aren't huge, most of these are 10% speed increases. I'm going to queue that up for later on after the... Got quite a few things on the go there. So we're doing faster conveyor, then we're doing faster drying, and then the paint nozzles. And we're doing a few features for technologies. They don't actually do give me anything, they just open up the tech trees. And then we go back to polish paintwork, power efficiency. I might move those around, I'm not sure, we'll see. Now all of these sections are going to need to be improved to their subcomponents. So again, like I said at the start, the fit engine has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 subcomponents. So we'll be replacing that one with 8 parts when we researched it and upgrading the parts. Now we can upgrade the robots on all these stations, but until I start seeing a queue forming up, because the paint shop's slowing things up a bit, I'm not going to do that until I feel I need to. A couple of things about that. So if I do upgrade, it's 1800 to have extra robots 1, but it increases the power consumption. So again, generally we're moving in that direction, but if I've got nothing waiting here, then there's no point me increasing my power consumption and spending money until I've got a line of cars waiting. Okay, so let's just double check this sales. So I'm losing money on that one. It might be because it's still including some of those upgrades to the paint. Cruise control's been researched by other people. This can vary a lot depending on whether a sale goes through, so if another sale goes through, it'll probably show that I'm in profit. Can't remember what this. So the power plants are producing 1800. So this power efficiency that I'm researching, not until the end. Where is it? It's here. Doesn't tell me what it is, but what it's going to do. We're going to get more energy out of each one of these. So instead of building too many, it's better to research them, the ones you've got first. So we'll need to wait a little while for that. So yeah, and then what we'll do with this series is that we'll be looking to make some, certainly the compact range, the compact mid-range, sedan, mid-range and budget, and then yeah, 4x4s, SUVs, The designer has talked about doing electric cars, so a bit like Tesla. So some of those are going to come into the game. So this is our compact column. Sorry, our budget column. That's our mid-range column. Expensive and luxury. And you can have multiple lines going at the same time. We've got things like stockpiles where they're like little mini warehouses, so we can get the resource things to fill up the stockpile so that they're feeding faster what you need. The only problem with that is, again, if you don't match it with what you can build, you can massively increase your cost because you just end up sitting on too many parts and components. So it's a mistake I've already made a couple times. So you've got these supply stockpiles which you can start putting next to workstations. You can have multiple exports and quality check zones. You could have completely separate lines for SUVs and 4x4s, but I think you can combine some of it, so you might have different chassis starting off, and then, you know, let's say the paint shops and fitting accessories, they could all end up using the same ones depending on your capacity and your output. So quite a lot of room for expansion with what we can do in the game. There are research offices. There are we can make servos, we can make metal sheets. Most of all these components you can actually make. So we can fit car horns, but we can also make them and stuff. And design studio, that's another one. I can't really show you that yet until I've researched it. Marketing department. And as you can see by the floor plan, we've got plenty of areas that we can expand into if we don't go broke. In the meantime, now my cars are piling up 6, we're not selling them. 2 reasons for that. We're not. I'm going to just pause the game because we can upgrade a few things. I'm going to lower the price a little bit, but we did see a few people saying that they've researched. Oops, wrong thing. This one. So these things here start going white instead of green. So we're still just doing a budget car, so we don't really want to look at those last 3 columns, just look at the first column. And at the moment we're good. We're golden still. We're not, you know, there's nothing really in our car that others don't have. We're not making luxury cars, but if we were making luxury cars, we need to start thinking about adding some of these other items. So we need to keep an eye on that. So let's have a look at our price. Let's just drop that a smidge to 40, and that will probably sell those. Because we've got a little bit of a stockpile, it might make us look. We're clearing our stock room, showroom I should say too. And yeah, we're making money, so that's saying we're making 138,000. Expenses are 33. We need to keep a close eye on this because, as I say, I've made, you know, built that and deleted things that are slapping 10 more generators and more marketing departments. So we need to incrementally look at the profit and sort of spend within that if we want to. And if you don't take a loan out before you go bankrupt, it's game over. We'll be regularly saving it, which is probably a good point to put another save in. So it's the stream one, save. Right now, I think we've upgraded. What was it that finished? Was it the drying? Yeah. So we've got faster drying. Is now being researched. So it costs 2,800 and it will speed up. But we've got 2 drying zones. We've got the dry undercoat and the dry finish. So we can upgrade both of these. So a little bit of money there, but we get 10% speed increase on each of them, and we'll up these high pressure nozzles which we're probably researching now, I imagine. Yep. So 38% done. And then that will speed each of those 4 sections up by 10%. But if we start getting a long line of cars here, what we'll do is we'll build a second paint line, merge it back, and then we'll see how we go. Now the market is 2 per hour, still selling about 2 per hour. I think there's a bit more on that when we. But this is going to cause us, you know, the fit body. And there's not too much you can do that in the early game because you can't improve this until you've researched. And it's a lot more researching points and time than the paint. So I prefer that. I think I advise doing the paint first, and then probably this would be the next zone. Now we can spend a bit more money, but this can affect our profits quite badly if we. Sometimes you just need to, as long as you're making money, wait out the research because it doesn't tell you the cost. But if we look at Research Office, you can see that it says staff 4. So it doesn't. It's 49,000 to buy, but it actually does have a wages cost. Now they might introduce more wages in as far as details go. We've got some basic details here, wages, and gives us the money there, but it doesn't sort of break it down of how much. You know, it's not telling us whether it's 5,000 wages per research centre. We can see that we're spending 1,800 per hour, and we've spent 56,000 so far on our research. So, but if we start making 150,000 an hour, I'll probably up my research, and then maybe think about getting some marketing people. So these are going to fluctuate a fair bit depending on the time that you're looking at. So at the moment it says we're making 90,000, expenses 34, making 56. So I'm just waiting for these nozzles to be done. Then we'll upgrade that, and then I think I'll stop that for this video because we've been going for I've been going for over an hour on this one. I'll probably be doing 45-minute to hour sessions for our production line, bite-sized chunks for people to watch as we grow our factory and take over the car manufacturing business. So let's just wait till this 80% done, so nearly there. Now I am sped up time, so let me just double check again that that doesn't look like we're making as much money there. Now when we've upgraded things, our power usage goes up. I have researched, but I think I'm going to wait rather than build more. 31,000 each. I'm going to be upgrading these efficiencies, which I've got queued up in a little while. So let's get this paint stuff done. As I said at the start of the video, the developer has a weekly video that he does about 20 minutes long, where he talks about the plans for the game, new things that he's going to be bringing out in the game, fixes of bugs and things like that. So I'll put a link in the information on the YouTube video, so if you want to go check out the developer webpage, then YouTube page, then go and have a look. So there we go, high pressure nozzles, and it says do we want to upgrade? Now I am going to click this one because I do want to upgrade them, so upgrade all slots, 2 slots. But I generally would advise you not to do that with the robots, for the reasons that I mentioned earlier. The only point in upgrading all these, they're not waiting on any cars. So now each of these are doing 10% quicker. A couple of things. So if it's purple, it's waiting for the next vehicle. If it's grey, so purple and grey are bad because purple means it's waiting for stuff and it's not sitting there doing nothing. And grey means that it can't move it on because there's a queue ahead of it. So if we look at these, they don't have queues ahead of them, that's fine. But they're waiting too long for vehicles, and that's because of this delay here, which we'll sort out in due course. Let's just check the money. Yeah, not making much profit, but not going bankrupt just yet. Okay, so what are we researching? Safety features. Okay, we're just going to unlock some of these. Just wondering whether to swap these around. I think I will. So let me take out driver, security, environmental, convenience, entertainment. We'll do the power plant efficiency next. Then the polished paintwork, and then we'll go back to doing these. Environmental, convenience, entertainment, leave performance. Just about breaking even there. I'm not sure if these update real time. Maybe you have to click on them and click off. Oh no, they do. I'm watching there. Okay, safety features are done. Then it should be doing power plants. Rival companies research the heater, so I'm just gonna clicking all the wrong things. Features are over here. So that's fine, it's more luxury cars. Don't need to worry about those. Okay, so the only way we can speed up the paint shop now is by doing predictive stock, which I don't really want to do because of the problems it can, or build a second one, which is the option I'll do. I'll build a second one. But I don't need to at the moment, there's no queues. Right, so here's the power plant efficiency. Now upgrade all 6 slots. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to see, let's pause it, let's just see what the efficiency is. So at the moment it supplies 1800. So we spend 4,700 and it adds 8%. What's 8% to 1800? Well, 10% would be another 180. So not a huge amount. So 1944. So we're going to spend a bit of money doing, might do all of them. Let's just see, takes to 11,000. Yeah, it's probably worth doing all of them. It's going to take a while for me to get that money back. Yeah, let's do all of them. But we will get the money back because, you know, we don't have to buy energy if we make more of it. That's going to put our energy output up a bit. And now there is another, I've not got that, just pause it, there is another, there's a high output power plant which is 76,000 to, and it produces 3,800. You might be able to improve the efficiency of that by 8% or 10%, but I've not built those yet, and I think we only need to do that when we've got multiple factory lines going. So we've just gone back over the two. We started with 3 million. We went down to about, I think it was about 1.5, 1.6, and we've just started to make full speed. Let's just, so yeah, that's gonna wind this on a bit because obviously we spent that money on the power plants. Let's just clear that hour slot and see. We're still looking good. $37, so 45, so right, let's just change there. So yeah, so making 45, basically selling 2 cars, and expenses 33, so marginally making a profit. Not an awful lot though, we really do need to get our production up. So that'll probably be it for today's video. What we'll do on the next video is look to replace the fit body with the more efficient one. And we might even think about, certainly from a planning point of view, of potentially having 2 fit body zones, 2 or 3. But again, we'll have to look at the money aspects. But we'll improve the first one to its subcomponents, which was, what was it, fit body? Yeah, so it's quite a lot. I think it's 13 items there to replace that one. So that's what we'll do on the next video back, and we'll continue to expand our factory and our line. So let me put a save in before I forget. There we go, I'll pause it there. Anyway, so thanks for joining me. This is Production Line. As I say, the information to the game for Steam is in the video YouTube link. I've also put a link in there for Cliff Harris, who's the developer of the game. He did games like Democracy 3, and he does a video each week. Otherwise, leave your comments in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the future series of Production Line. This is Lone Gamer. I'll see you again soon. Take care now.